Welcome to Nonprofit Profiles. I'm Genevieve Riatort. Today we're going to talk about CLARE Foundation. Addiction and substance abuse are issues that underlie almost every social issue that we deal with today. We're going to start by talking to some of CLARE Foundation's former clients who also now help to serve the organization. Welcome, Michael and Cynthia. Cynthia, we'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about how you first came to find out about CLARE Foundation.
Well, back in 2003, a friend of mine had mentioned CLARE because I was homeless and I had a problem then, and I was going through college. So I tried to go through CLARE, and they said that I would have to stop going to college. So I didn't want to not do that. But 2 years ago, I finally hit my bottom, and I decided to give CLARE a shot because everything else I tried didn't work anymore.
So what was different about CLARE? Why did this program speak to you in a way that other programs weren't able to?
Well, at the time, I was in Santa Monica, so it was close and it was affordable.
Yeah, sometimes it comes down to that.
Yeah.
And so how did being a part of CLARE's program help you? Where were you then as compared to where you are now?
When I came to CLARE, I was completely broken, and I didn't know how to be a woman. I didn't know how to do anything. And CLARE has helped me to adjust my thinking and to live sober. And it's given me the tools that I need to find myself and to be a worker among workers and self-employed, or not self-employed, but not codependent. I'm completely self-supporting, and I have CLARE to thank for all that.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that you were able to adjust your life and get into a better place. Tell me a little bit about how you now work with CLARE to give back and help other people who are in a similar situation to where you were.
Well, I'm currently the resident staff at CLARE, and what that means is I'm the house mom. So the house has currently 19 women, and I have a helper. She's also another house mom. And basically, when the staff, leaves at night, I'm like the house mom, and if the girls need anything, I'm there for them. Anything from the office, toiletries or whatnot. And also, I serve as an example because I work. I have 3 jobs, and CLARE's one of my jobs, and they see me get up and go to work every day, and they see me doing the deed, and it gives them hope.
So, in other words, the women that live in that facility can look to you as a model because you've been through the program, you know what it's like, you understand their struggles, and they can turn to you with, maybe for advice or suggestions on how to deal with some of the issues that they're dealing with.
Yes, absolutely.
And how many women live in the facility?
All is 21, but there's 19 that are in the 6-month program currently.
And I would imagine that there has to be quite a level of companionship among the women that are there, so they can look to you, but they can also turn to each other, I would expect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's there's something about a bond between women. You wouldn't be able to understand unless you've been through it and experienced it. So a lot of the women come to the program where they're not too sure about women. They're kind of standoffish. But once the layers start to peel off, once the fog starts to lift, there's a certain camaraderie that exists in the house, and it's beautiful. It's actually a blessing.
And do the women, once they cycle out of the program and they're on their own, are there ways for them to reconnect and to get support services if they need to once the official program is over?
Yes, they have alumni where they can actually come back and participate in. There's a Thursday night dinner that they have also, and there's things for the holidays. Alumni's welcome, and they also have the counselors there that I see it all the time where clients will come back, and if they need something to get off their chest, if they need a shoulder to cry on, the counselors are amazing for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
So, Michael, I'd like to ask you the same question. How did you first come to find out about CLARE?
Well, Cynthia and I, we share pretty similar stories. I came to CLARE in 2003. I worked in the area, and I used to pass by every day on my way to work, and I was struggling. with addiction, alcohol and drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw people standing around, and I decided maybe it was something that I wanted to check into.
Mm-hmm.
His life was getting pretty rough, so I stopped in and actually got assessed. And I wasn't ready at the time, but I decided I needed to take a leave of absence from the job that I was working on, which they granted the leave, and I entered CLARE, and it seems like I've never left.
Wow. What an act of courage to be willing to be open to the idea that maybe I need a little help here. I mean, that must have been a hard step to take.
It was very hard, because my family didn't think I had a problem, but in actuality I did. I could see it. Things were getting more and more difficult to handle. My life, as they say, my life was becoming very unmanageable. So it wasn't a very hard decision after I decided I had a problem.
And so once you connected with CLARE, how was it that the program was able to affect such a great change in your life?
I learned a lot about myself. You know, I started doing things that I'd never done before. I started volunteering. That wasn't the type of person that I was. I started helping people. That wasn't the type of person that I was. I always looked the other way. You know, I just pretty much lived my life. And through working at CLARE, actually through being a client at CLARE, I just changed. I opened up. Actually became a totally different person.
And so now you're actually employed at CLARE.
Yes, I am. I just celebrated 8 years
Wow.
at CLARE last month, as a matter of fact.
Congratulations.
I am now the director of admissions. My department is pretty much what I like to think of as the gateway, the doorway to, you know, getting into not only CLARE but to other programs also, because we also do referrals to other programs. So people come in, they get screened, they get assessed, and we also do the intake.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I have to imagine that it must be very meaningful for you both to be able to know that you came from a difficult place and you needed help, and CLARE Foundation was there for you, and now you're able to be part of that program and to be there for other people like yourselves who are in need of a little help and a way to give back, and it's got to be a great feeling.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Next, we're going to hear from some of the staff at CLARE. We're going to hear about the history and mission and find out a little bit more about the nuts and bolts about how this amazing program operates and how they are able to help people pick up their lives and be able to get to a place where they can give back. Thanks so much for being with us.
I was scammed.
I was scammed.
Can you believe it? I was scammed. Every year, Americans lose billions of dollars in consumer fraud. Become a fraud fighter, like me. Join our team. It's easy, it's fun, the hours are flexible. You can help yourself and others not become victims.
Welcome back to Nonprofit Profiles. We're here with Nicholas Roterick, the Executive Director at CLARE, and Jennifer Musselman, Director of Prevention. We're going to hear all about how the fabulous programs work at CLARE. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Nicholas, tell me how long you have been with CLARE Foundation.
Almost 13 years.
Wow.
And I've been well, actually 17 years. I was on the board first and then executive director for almost 13 years.
So tell me exactly what the history and the mission of CLARE Foundation is. How long has the organization been around, and what is the principal purpose?
Okay, so we've been around for almost 42 years, and I think I have the mission memorized. CLARE is a nonprofit organization providing compassionate treatment and recovery services for the individual, family, and the community. We have 10 programs. Over 30,000 people a year turn to CLARE for some kind of help, and they all receive some kind of service from us. We take in about 3,000 people. That means we open up a chart on about 3,000 clients a year. CLARE began back in the late 60s when a group of recovering alcoholics noticed the vets and the homeless gathering on the beaches and started handing out notices, and we've grown to 10 programs. We have over 250 beds. We have outpatient services. We have a drug court that we work with the County of Los Angeles. We have a drinking driver program, and we have a wonderful program which Jennifer will tell you about, that provides services for mothers and children, sober living services for mothers and children. And we do a lot of prevention work in the schools. So our programs range from the admission process to a detox primary 30-day program, 6 months of long-term recovery, and then we have sober living beds where you can be with us another couple of years. So it's a comprehensive service that we offer.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It is.
And Jennifer, you are Director of Prevention. What exactly does that mean?
Well, it's prevention in all capacities, so from homelessness to prevention of drug awareness in the schools, and then working with the Sober Living House with the women and children.
So when you talk about prevention in schools, do you talk to elementary school kids, middle school kids, all of the above?
Well, I can say we've been doing prevention services in the school system for the past 8 years, and we've seen worked with over 20,000 kids, both in middle school and high school. So locally, both in Santa Monica and other neighboring neighborhoods. And it keeps getting better and better.
So ideally, the goal is to prevent people from becoming enslaved by addiction so that they don't have to become CLARE clients in the future.
Right. We've also been going through sort of an assessment period with drug prevention. What we're finding is that, the people that we see at CLARE and treat at CLARE have started at between 11 and 17 years old. And they never thought they would find themselves in the position that they are today when they started with their first drink or the first hit of marijuana. They absolutely never thought they would find themselves in the position that we see them in at CLARE.
Wow, I'm amazed that it starts at such a young age.
Yeah, it's scary, but one of the things we do at CLARE, in addition to working with, in the school system and working with the students, is that we're hosting a parenting class and try to educate both at our community center in Culver City, as well as we're working with Virginia Avenue Park and pulling together a parenting class, because parents need to be just as informed about the drugs that their kids are taking today, which are very different in many ways than what they were taking, themselves back in the day. The marijuana is not the same marijuana that they were taking
It's a lot
in the
stronger.
60s. Yeah, yeah.
So much stronger.
And I would imagine that there has to be, in some ways, a cycle of addiction, so that maybe if the parents have a tendency towards addiction or struggle with addiction in the past, then it increases the likelihood that kids would be.
Well, certainly, modeling is something that, kids experience when they're growing up from their parents. But it's all sorts of underlying conditions that might cause someone to go into experience an addiction, and a genetic predisposition, perhaps as well for alcohol and drugs. So it could be anything from low self-esteem, family dynamics, communication. All of those things are, breeding ground, if you will, for someone to turn to drugs and alcohol to cope.
Of course. So, Nicholas, I'm hoping you can speak a little bit about what the experience might be like for a typical CLARE client. What's it like from beginning to end? How do they begin? What sort of services do they access while they're engaged in the program? And then how do they, sort of graduate out of the program?
Well, CLARE is one of the programs that people know that they can come to and they're going to get services. These kinds of funded services, public assistance kinds of services, are becoming increasingly difficult as all forms of government have facing budgets that are tightening, and social service programs are being reduced. But the experience is that often the CLARE client is maybe in about 30 years old, has been to several other rehabs, and they haven't worked. And they know that if they come to CLARE, it's going to be serious recovery. We have a proven track record where we provide great services, and they're going to go through the 30-day primary program, which includes a 5 to 10-day detox period. It's a non-medical detox. And then they're going to have a very structured program for the first 30 days. And after that, we have a 6-month program for those that are able to be there longer. And that experience is one where they learn once again that there's the possibility of living life in a very positive and productive way without drugs and alcohol. You know, I just want to say that one of the ways we serve the community, Claire started the prevention programs totally free to the schools about 8 years ago. And now we have the city of Santa Monica and the county of Los Angeles supporting a program which we provided free of service to the community for a long time. And it's turning out to be having a great effect on young people. Some of these students are the absolute worst, misbehaving, difficult, throw them out of class students. They turn around being models and mentors for other students. And that was a program that we began without any help whatsoever.
That's so exciting to hear about. I mean, to think that you can catch children before they enter that cycle of addiction is such an inspiring idea.
Right.
And just really quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, I just wonder if you could speak a little bit about what makes CLARE different. You mentioned that some clients have been to other rehabs that were not effective. How is CLARE able to help them in ways that other programs were not able to?
I think our compassionate, caring approach, we've been doing it a long time. We know how to do it, and we're able to provide very excellent, some say the best treatment in LA County, and we know how to do it. We do it in a loving, compassionate, non-confrontational way, and we encourage them to become the best person they can possibly be.
Well, that sounds amazing, and it sounds like the love and the understanding and the support that you provide really makes the difference.
I think it does.
Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for
really
having us.
appreciate your time. And we will be back to hear from some of the CLARE volunteers and board members. Thank you for staying with us at Nonprofit Profiles.
I used to think my life was normal.
Bye, Mom.
But sometimes I needed a drink, then another. I didn't see I had a problem until I lost my little girl. Then one day, the CLARE Foundation took me in and helped me heal. I now have my life back and the most precious thing in it. CLARE Foundation, saving lives through recovery. Log on to clarefoundation.org.
Welcome back to Nonprofit Profiles. Here to give us a little more perspective on how CLARE does its great work is Jack Rosenbaum, chairman of the board, and Steve Glick, another board member who also works with CLARE's drug court program. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Jack, you've been a long-time board member at CLARE.
Right now.
Tell us how you first found out about the organization.
Well, I was first sentenced to CLARE in 1975 by the judge as opposed to going to 3 years to state prison, and it was on a 5-year suspended sentence in 1975, and got sober in 1980 and joined the board in 1984.
Wow, so you actually started as a client.
Yes, yes, and seeing a young counselor who I had no premonition and no suspicion that I had any problems with alcohol. The judges seemed to, my family seemed to, I was the last one to know.
That's probably the case for a lot of the clients at CLARE.
And CLARE has saved my life and has allowed me to be a productive member of society for the last many years.
That's wonderful. And now you're able to give back and actually serve.
Yes, and I'm 32 years sober and almost 30 years sober in Nicotine Anonymous, which I was in the founding of that group.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
I know that can be a challenge. I've seen a lot of sobriety programs where people get off of just about everything else, but they smoke through all the other meetings.
Yes.
And drink lots of coffee.
Yes, we sure do.
Well, good for you. I'm glad to hear that you were able to overcome those addictions yourself. And Steve, you are also a board member at CLARE. Tell me about how you first came to the organization.
I was first approached by another board member, basically in a fundraising situation, and I participated in that, but wanted to do more. It wasn't about the money, it was about how can I actually be of service and help this organization that I so strongly believed in. So,
wow, we need more people like you.
So I ended up volunteering for almost 2 years before joining the board 3 years ago.
So I'm very interested to hear more about how the drug court program works. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I can only tell you about my participation in the drug program. I take in a 12-step meeting every Wednesday morning for the group. And so, but basically the drug court is, it's an intensive 18-month process. That's an alternative sentencing option for the people that are in there, where as long as they're non-violent drug users, they're accepted. And it's part of, it's in association with the Santa Monica court system. And so it's wonderful because these people are given a second chance at living a life and being a member of the community.
So if this program didn't exist, what would happen to the people who participate in it?
I would imagine they would either be in jail. I know that Prop 36 is an option for some of them, or they'd be back out on the streets and at some point back in jail.
So what's expected of drug court participants? What do they have to do in order to be part of this program?
They have, there's many hours of meetings they must attend.
Like 12-step meetings?
12-step meetings. They have meetings with their counselors. They take drug tests at random weekly.
Of course.
They actually pay to participate, so it's not like it's something that they take for granted. It is something that they have to get involved with on a financial level as well. To
So
show their
that there's
commitment.
a buy-in and a commitment.
That's correct.
And so how is an outcome different for a participant in drug court versus someone who just has to go through the normal system?
I can only tell you that in the beginning, most of them don't want to be there, just like all of us. And at a certain point in the last 5 years that I've been involved, I have seen when the light has come on. And it becomes something that they want to participate in instead of having to participate in. And instead of just being there to get their records wiped clean, they're there because they actually want to change their lives. And that is that's really the miracle for me and the blessing for me to be part of.
So do the drug court participants engage in other programs that CLARE has to offer?
That I'm not really sure of.
Maybe some do, some don't.
Yeah, there are some because originally it was just drug court. Now we have outpatients that come to drug court, as well as SASCA members that come to drug court. So the majority are just the drug court, which is part of the Santa Monica court system.
Well, it's so great that there's a system that helps people get through this process without necessarily having to ruin their entire lives because of an addiction issue. So.
Well, it certainly is part of that process that helps them. And one of the things that I hope to do is to encourage them to participate in the 12-step program by getting sponsors, by working the 12 steps, by reading the big book and of Alcoholics Anonymous and or Nicotine Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or whatever it may be to help them.
And they get involved with Chrysalis, and which helps them with their job skills and getting a resume together and soliciting the fact that they can become productive members of society in the workforce.
That's great. I like to hear about how agencies work together in cooperation to help people through a sort of continuum of services so that they maybe start with getting help with addiction, but then they can, find other ways to have a path to success. So Jack, just really quickly, since you have a great historical perspective about CLARE, is there a story that you can share with us, maybe about a client or someone that you know about who's had a really inspiring experience?
Well, I have one gentleman that I started sponsoring when he was 19 years old. He has been very successful in business, and he sponsors people, now has 3 auto body shops, and is paying back to society. And the opportunity that I was at Beverly Hills High School yesterday with 2 16-year-old sober young men that were a year and a half sober. Talking to the health classes, I've been doing that for 15 years, and
That's so great.
type of prevention the Clarity for Youth has done. Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for your service and for being willing to share yourselves and your story with us. It seems like CLARE Foundation is really doing fantastic work. And for anyone who wants to find out more about CLARE Foundation, please visit clarefoundation.org. And thank you so much for being with us on Nonprofit Profiles. We hope that you are inspired, as I am, by today's program. Thank you.